Neverland was a world that all children dreamed of. A world where every wish came true thanks to the fairies. No evil darkness ever approached Neverland. The children were happy and could be friends forever. Sleep didn't exist, rules didn't exist, and above all, there were no parents to tell the children what to do or not to do. This utopia, this world, was only offered to the most special children. Peter Pan ruled the island, ordered by a higher being, to ensure that the best children were invited to stay forever. And this story is told by Peter himself to a boy named Curly, whom he invites to come to Neverland.
That it's time for you to go to Neverland, Curly.
Sometime later, Curly disappeared, along with several children from the area. At a fantasy-themed circus known as Neverland, Peter Pan works as a mime to entertain the children. Peter chooses a boy named James, whom he later appears to at his own house to try to kidnap him. Copying the strategies of It the Clown,
I'm Peter. It's nice to meet you.
Peter tries to convince the boy to take him to Neverland while the boy's mother is showering. But when she gets out of the shower, she hears them talking and tries to stop Peter. Peter locks them in the house, and the mother has no choice but to confront him. Peter cuts off her foot, but she kicks him and stabs him, disfiguring his face. Peter responds to the blows and Peter approaches the boy, asking if he wants to go to Neverland. And this is how the story begins.
Would you like to come to Neverland with me now?
Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap the movie.
15 years later, we meet Wendy, who lives with her mother Mary and her brothers John and Michael in a nearby town called Ashdown. Her mother sends Wendy to take her brother to school, though he wants to use his new birthday gift bicycle since it's his birthday. Wendy takes him to school and promises to take him for ice cream after school. After that, we meet Peter Pan's sidekick, Tinkerbell, who injects herself with pixie dust. And Peter Pan, still with a scar on his face from his last encounter. After 15 years, he returns to kidnap children to take them to Neverland. He appears at a costume shop to find a mask to hide his face.
Hi. I'm Peter.
The shopkeeper tries to charge him, but Peter pays him with violence. After school, Wendy goes to pick up her brother, but at that moment, her boyfriend Ronnie shows up, whom she hadn't heard from in a day. They had planned to leave the city together, but he decides to stay, which angers Wendy. Distracted, her brother grabs his bike and rides home alone until he falls into Peter's trap. Peter appears and kidnaps him. Wendy doesn't realize her brother left and starts to worry when she notices he's gone, so she drives home to tell her mother. Peter takes Michael to his lair, where he tells him his name and shows him his disfigured face. Peter tells him that his mother did terrible things to him, so he would close his eyes and imagine being in Neverland to block out the fear, and he asks Michael to do the same.
Because it's real. It's real, Michael.
At Wendy's house, the police show her a security camera video showing Michael leaving alone. Her mother gets angry at Wendy for getting distracted and letting her brother get lost. At that moment, she receives a call where only circus music is heard, and Peter saying he will take Michael to Neverland.
I'm going to take him to Neverland.
Peter approaches Michael and asks him to play hide and seek. He'll hide, and Michael has to find him. After counting to 10, Michael plays along and takes the chance to look for a way out. But he finds the windows sealed until Peter appears. Peter finds a photo of Michael and his friend Joey in Michael's bag and suggests bringing his friend to be there with him. The next day, Wendy, Joey, and her sister Lily go to an address Wendy got from someone in Ashdown who had already experienced a kidnapping by Peter Pan. The group arrives at Steven's house, and he tells them that his son Timmy was kidnapped by Peter and that he also received the call. After that, he never saw his son again. Meanwhile, Peter intercepts a bus full of children coming from school. He attacks the driver and enters the bus, causing a massacre.
Who wants to come to Neverland with me?
Tinkerbell brings food to Michael, and he asks her if Peter is holding her captive too, but she says she's there by her own choice. Michael tells her he noticed Peter seems sick, but Tinkerbell says it's a sign that he's close to going to Neverland, and that's why he has to act fast to take the children with him. She also tells him that she's a fairy, and to have magical power, she only needs to follow Peter Pan's guidance. John tells Wendy that he heard on the news that the children heading to Michael's school were attacked. Upon learning this, he and his mother believe his brother met the same fate, though Wendy holds on to hope that that's not the case. After the massacre and the pixie dust, Peter starts flying, telling his shadow that he'll go for Joey tonight. At that moment, Tinkerbell arrives and, for a moment, doubts the truthfulness of Peter's stories. She asks him where the children really went. Peter, angry, responds that he knows exactly where they went and tells her never to question him again. Peter hears one of his hostages making noise and goes to tell them to stop. That night, Wendy stays over at her friend Lily's house, and Peter decides to go after Joey, so he sneaks into Lily's house. But by the time she notices, it's too late. Wendy hears the family's cries for help and witnesses Lily's father's death. So she decides to trick Peter into thinking she's hiding in the room when she actually left. Wendy re-enters the house and finds Lily's mother, but at that moment, Peter arrives. So instead of helping her, she leaves her with him. As she was about to charge her phone to call the police, she realizes Joey is being kidnapped. So she grabs the car keys and follows him to his lair. She enters and finds Peter putting on his costume. Peter takes Joey to Michael, promising them he'll take them to Neverland, though in reality, he locks his victims in the basement. He takes Joey first. Meanwhile, Wendy charges her phone and grabs a knife to defend herself. She starts looking for her brother until she runs into Tinkerbell. Wendy asks her to help her get her brother back, and after thinking it over, Tinkerbell tells her where he is. Tinkerbell starts gaining more clarity, so she asks Peter what happens in the basement. Peter, noticing Tinkerbell's clarity, tells her to inject herself with pixie dust again. At that moment, Wendy's phone rings, and Peter gets angry at Tinkerbell for not telling him there was someone else in the house. Peter enters Michael's room and asks if anyone else is with him. He denies it, and Peter tells him what he does to the children who go to Neverland.
And I put them around their little throats. And like a snake, I squeeze as tight as I possibly can.
At that moment, Wendy takes the chance to hit him and try to escape. Tinkerbell tries to stop them, but then Wendy realizes that Tinkerbell is actually Timmy,
Wait a minute!
a trans child Peter convinced was a fairy through drugs. Remembering who she really is, Tinkerbell helps Wendy and her brother hide and decides not to tell Peter anything. Michael hides in the kitchen, where he finds Wendy's phone and takes the chance to call the police. Meanwhile, Wendy finds the basement where Peter takes the children. There, she finds Joey locked in a coffin and helps him. Feeling betrayed by Tinkerbell, Peter breaks her arms, saying he'll make sure she never betrays him again. Wendy finds a way out and tells Joey to get help while she stays to go after her brother. There, she finds a photo of James, who hadn't died but had been kept in the basement by Peter all these years and is now an adult with a hook hand.
Gotcha.
Hearing the scream, Peter realizes where Wendy is, but Michael stops him momentarily. In the end, Peter finds Wendy and they start fighting. Peter bites Wendy's fingers as she throws things at him however she can. Peter finishes off Tinkerbell, and Wendy grabs a syringe to drug him. While trying to escape, she gets glass stuck in her foot. Meanwhile, Peter's shadow points out where Wendy fled. Peter follows her, but she sets a trap to knock him out. Peter gets back up and finds Michael to take him to Neverland. At that moment, Wendy arrives for a second round. Peter stabs a piece of glass into her neck. She loses a lot of blood but is still alive, unbelievably. Wendy hits him and hits him, but he doesn't give in. The two grapple until Michael arrives to finally defeat him. But guess what? He's still alive. James appears and uses his hook to take Peter who knows where. A year later, the family celebrates Michael's birthday. At that moment, they receive a phone call. Wendy answers, realizing Peter is still alive, and that's how the movie ends. Neverland never existed.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Peter is a traumatized man who convinced himself he was Peter Pan,
Hi. I'm Peter.
kidnapping both Timmy and James to recreate Tinkerbell and Captain Hook. So I assume Michael and Joey would be the Lost Boys, leaving them alive in the basement to suffer. The shadow of Peter Pan that he saw was a drug effect, as he saw it every time he injected himself. In the end, there's no magical world, just a psychopath who believes Neverland is real.
It's real, Michael.